All right, let's get down to business. I'm here to tell you that you don't need to just try AI in today's market. You need to operationalize it or you're already dead in the water. Your competitors, they're already doing it. They're not just running webinars anymore. That's old news. They're deploying their own custom GPT to qualified leads. They're personalizing their outbound, and they're producing 30 plus buyer specific assets per week on autopilot. They're doing all of this without hiring a single in-house marketer. AI isn't just a side project or a nice to have. It is a competitive core growth system for your business. In this video, we're going to break down all of the reasons why founders and operators need to add AI into their playbook. Not to just jump onto the hype train, but how to integrate AI across the entire SaaS marketing lifecycle to build an unfair advantage. Let's go ahead and try and get tactical here. For those who don't know, my name is Morgan Von Druitt, and I've spent the last 10 years helping everyone from bootstrap startups all the way to international enterprises generate up to $1.3 billion in revenue, and currently advise for the largest startup in history at Klover.ai. I help startups punch way above their weight class through strategic content, AI infrastructure, and what I like to call surgical marketing. So today I'm going to walk you through the 4 non-negotiables if you want to compete and win with AI in a B2B SaaS market. From pipeline to retention, we're not here to just speculate. We're here to actually give you meaningful insights that are going to let you scale aggressively. First, if this video gives you anything that you can walk away from, actionable insights, and strategies that you know that you can take and go ahead and scale your business, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button like it owes you equity, and let's dive in. Our first chapter here is all about building a precision pipeline. This is AI for smarter lead generation and qualification so you do not waste your human man hours. So let's get one thing straight right off the bat. Manual prospecting is a liability. It is going to eat up all of your time, so do not do it anymore. We are not in that game. Graduate away from that. Every single hour that your team spends building a list or qualifying leads manually is an hour that your competitors are closing on revenue that you never saw coming. The problem here is that most SaaS teams are still running their top of the funnel like it's 2015. They spray and pray, they hope SDRs cold call, and none of those prospects ever make it through the pipeline. The problem here is that most teams are still fishing with nets when the real players are using sniper rifles and building precision systems. AI does this seamlessly. It's not just about automating busy work, it's about constructing dynamic, self-improving prospect engines. It scrapes live market data, filters through your ICP's logic, and delivers qualified lists in seconds. Things that would take days for your intern or your entry-level manager to scrape up and probably still be wrong about half of the list. If you want CFOs at a Series B for UK-specific fintechs who recently hired a VP and who are ramping their go-to-market, all of these different variables that would be incredibly difficult to track for one person unless they know all of the perfect channels to go ahead and search for, it's just an easy ask. With AI, it's done, it's enriched, it's verified, and it is in your CRM. I do this all of the time when I am tackling my ICP, which is funded seed and Series A startups who just received anywhere from $10 to $20 million in funding within the last 6 months. They also have less than 20 employees, and they don't have any in-house marketing help. This means that those companies are ripe to be able to bring on a marketing agency like Dippity Digital. And I get to them before they balloon and hemorrhage all of their funding on in-house marketing teams, which can cost their company up to like $1.3 million a year to get a vice president, a director, and 3 or 4 mid-level managers to do the same amount of work that we can do for price-conscious startups. AI can also build machine learning models to analyze firmographic data, technographic data, and behavioral signals to score the likelihood of conversion. So you can focus on the lowest hanging fruit with the highest value. This is all before sales even touches a lead. The key executive shifts here are to ditch static lead lists. Every single day, your data ages. and the relevance decays. So it needs to be fresh, and it needs to constantly be double checking into the market to make sure, okay, this company didn't go ahead and make that key hire that would avoid the need for your system. Or there is a new CTO that just came onto a company that has a history of revamping their entire tech stack whenever they enter a new company. Now is the actual opportune moment for you to jump in and try and sell to them. Moreover, it moves SDRs down the funnel where users are actually more willing to buy and they don't have to deal with as many objections. AI handles the qualification, and then your reps focus on the closing. The math really matters here. So companies using AI at the top of the funnel are set apart from the rest. So they report up to a 50% increase in sales-ready leads, a 33% decrease in cost per lead, and overall a higher MQL, marketing qualified lead, to SQL, sales qualified lead, conversion velocity, which is huge. The faster you can move somebody through the funnel, the more momentum you can maintain, the quicker you're going to go ahead and get that sale. The key executive takeaway here is that your lead engine, if it doesn't adapt in real time, then you're not really scaling, you're just stalling and looking for some excuse why you don't want to grow, which I've seen plenty of founders feel like they're incredibly reluctant to go ahead and get more revenue, whether or not they're scared of success, they're scared of failure, or they just know that they don't have the systems in place right now to scale accordingly and service the clients in a way that they have promised. Fix all of those things and then run your pipeline. Founders confuse headcount with capability as well, and this is something that I tout all of the time, and I need you founders to understand this. Just because you got your Series A and you're sitting on $15 million does not mean that you need to go hire 20 in-house marketing managers. That's especially true, for my agency, but this is true across your entire organization. Your job is to go ahead and treat that money, your investor money, carefully and show how much you can possibly get a return on investment, which in today's age is going to be maximized when you introduce AI into your system and you don't have to worry about 401ks or maternity leaves or compensation matches or sick time or training a new rep that takes 6 months to ramp into your organization and also costed you something like $20,000 or more to recruit from a staffing agency. Never mind if that employee ends up churning in the next 90 days, which is common. There's up to a 33% churn rate or turnover rate for employees in the tech industry. Most people are continuing to apply and continuing to interview even up until the first quarter that they're with you. My point here is that you don't need more reps. You need more machine-assisted accuracy at the top of your funnel, and you need more AI supporting people that stood the company up to begin with, your founders. Because the next multi-billion-dollar company isn't going to be a house that is taking care of 1,000+ employees. It is going to be less than 20 employees of absolutely a tiger unit squad that knows exactly what they're doing, exactly where they're differentiated, and know where to take advantage of the tools that are at their disposal now in the most cost-effective way possible. Chapter 2, hyper-personalization and content velocity is key. It is the new engagement standard for SaaS and AI startups. Let's cut right through all the bullshit. SaaS buyers don't need more content per se. What they need is relevant content. They need precision. They need to feel like your solution was built for them specifically, their exact pain point, and in their exact context. Now more than ever, you can speak to orders of magnitude more personas than you were even 3 years ago. And you can do this all by divvying up the same pieces of content, using AI to slightly change the messaging so you can hit with, again, the same core piece of content, a CIO of a Fortune 100 company, but also the bootstrapped CEO of a Silicon Valley startup. The real buyers in today's market, they don't live in these personas 24/7. They live in complexity. They're still people after their work when they might be researching, before they go to bed. They're still, Jim or Morgan. We have lives and we have interests, and there's context that matters in underlying lessons that we have to be able to hit them on. If your messaging has to reflect this nuance in real time, hitting them where they are, when they are, and in the format that they're actually going to respond to given that contextual situation. So AI enables this in a few ways. AI turns content from static collateral into a living system that's almost organic. It doesn't just segment, it adapts per user. It personalizes emails, sites, products, and nurture flows dynamically based on user behavior, again, in real time. It drafts SEO blogs, comparison pages, onboarding flows, and even outbound sequences in your specific tone for your ICP. Here's the advantage for content ops. You go from a one-size-fits-all messaging solution into a velocity engine that creates, personalizes, and deploys content across the entire funnel daily at a scale that you never would have been able to accomplish otherwise. You don't have to have the in-house content hire that is going to be scrambling to keep up with that pace anyway. Here's some velocity stats that matter. AI-assisted teams are publishing 3 times more content than their counterparts, with a 40% higher engagement rate. Why? Because that content is actually personalized to the user it's being delivered to. Not everything is going to resonate, but the things that do really hit home and start building some brand loyalty. Lastly, getting to market is 5 times faster for teams using AI than those taking advantage of traditional content cycles. A tactical framework that you can take away from this is that you want to deploy tools like Jasper or Writer.com to draft your original generation and your persona-specific messaging. I also love ChatGPT for this, or Gemini. It's effectively pick your poison. You're going to figure out which LLM you enjoy working with best, and then you're just going to lean on that for the rest of your career. It's fine. Use things like Surfer or ClearScope to SEO optimize and scale based on search intent. So again, focused on the different buyer personas where they are in the funnel. So either top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, and what their proximity to a buying decision is. Cater it according to that. Automate and repurpose your content whenever possible. So you can take your blogs and go ahead and turn them into LinkedIn carousels or email nurtures. And then you can even have this bleed into your demo scripts as well. All of this is just feeding, let's say, one core piece of content or your transcript, whatever, your pillar piece, feeding it into something like ChatGPT and saying, hey, go ahead and give me 5 tweets, 3 LinkedIn posts, and a YouTube transcript for this blog. This is exactly how I make my content. And if you don't follow Dippity Digital on anything, do that for one. But we publish one blog every single weekday that is talking at a high level about executive grade strategy that often these blogs are 20, 30 pages long in my Google Docs. And then I'll go ahead and I'll feed that into ChatGPT and I'll be like, hey, I need 20 tweets to go out after this. That's a bit much. I need 10 tweets to go out about this content. I also need 3 LinkedIn posts per day. 2 of them are going to be off my personal account. 1 of them is going to be off of my Dippity account. And then I need a YouTube script. And now here you are. I'm sitting down reading my YouTube script. You can go ahead and take one piece of content and again, extrapolate that across multiple different channels to again, maximize your footprint. Next would be to build out trigger updates. So based on real-time user behavior, things like product pages versus demo requests or churn signals can all trigger specific workflows. So if you are getting a churn signal, then it might trigger an email workflow that goes ahead and tries to offer a support ticket to a user like, hey, we noticed that you haven't touched a base on our product in the last 7 days. Is everything okay? Do you need more training? Do you need some support? Do you need a free upgrade? Or insert whatever, that personalized response would be. A good case in point here is that we scaled Klover.ai from 0 effectively in traffic about 4 months ago up to 22,000 daily organic visitors and 100,000 impressions per day, again, all in under 90 days, pretty much by repurposing blog content across a multi-channel strategy. The point here is that we didn't just throw bodies at the problem, we engineered an AI-driven velocity system that refined the content continuously based on search engine results. If it wasn't ranked on page number 1, we would get flagged for it, and then we would go ahead and write all of our CTAs, we would write all of our headers over again, and then once we perfected that system to ensure that every single piece of content that we wrote ranked on the first page of Google, right now we're actually sitting at a 6.7 average page ranking over 498 different pieces of content, which is insane. We're guaranteed page 1. Then we went ahead and refined the system to flag us whenever we had a piece of content that wasn't in the top 3. And right now we have about a 60% hit rate on being rank 1 through 3 on Google for absolutely any piece of content that we publish. If your content engine isn't recursive, then you're not really engaging your buyers, you're just boring them. Most buyers and readers need to hear the same thing, I'm going to be hyperbolic, but a dozen times over before it finally drills home. We're absolutely bombarded with content these days, and it's insane of you, the listener here, to think that just posting one blog every 2 or 3 weeks is actually going to be something memorable for your user. No, you need to be at the top of their feed every single day, whether or not they're going to LinkedIn, to Instagram, to YouTube, to X, insert whatever, and you need to be delivering that same message with a different flavor every time. Chapter 3 is all about the power of competitive intelligence and predictive strategy that pretty much just pays for itself when you get it right. For most B2B companies, the marketing engine is still a black box, and CEOs tend to look at marketing as a cost center rather than a value engine. The spend goes in, and then confusion comes out, and nobody really knows what's going on the marketing side. Now, that can be due to bad reporting, but also just be, to the understanding that marketing sometimes can take time. There is the age-old stress or struggle working with an SEO agency or something like that, where they'll tell you, oh yeah, SEO takes time. It's going to be like 3 to 6 months before you start seeing results. Yeah, please still pay us our exorbitant. For most B2B SaaS companies, there's a lot of confusion around marketing. Marketing tends to still be this weird black box or vacuous hole that is a cost center, or perceived as a cost center, and not perceived as a value engine. So the care to turn it into a value engine is never really invested. Marketing is kind of just left on an island. And if you're the type of company that is blessed enough to have a product marketing manager who typically acts as a liaison between all of these cross-functional departments, then you're further ahead than a lot of the companies that I've worked with that go, we don't know what product marketing is, or we don't know why our sales team isn't talking to marketing, and sales also doesn't understand what's going on in the product roadmap. That's all marketing's job. Now, while you're waking up to the reality of your brand being one of the top 3 most important departments in your company, it is suffering. Meanwhile, your board doesn't really care about impressions. What they want is proof that your go-to-market dollars are actually buying some revenue velocity and not just noise in an already crowded market. The problem here is that traditional campaigns operate on lagging signals. You launch and then you wait and then you optimize, and then you look to change anything next quarter. That's just way too long. Meanwhile, you've already bailed out like $50,000 into underperforming ads, and you have a missed quota, and you don't really understand the value or the traffic that is being generated from your content. Worse, if you don't have a funnel to actually capture all of those organic leads. AI does all of this instead for you, so you don't have to work through all of this guesswork. It turns campaign ops into a living, learning loop that is dynamic and real time through a few different avenues. So predictive analytics helps you flag churn, conversion risk, LTV ceilings, before the market reacts to your blunder if you had made one. Second would be real-time budget reallocation based on micro-performance and small experimentations. You can A/B test out the wazoo, and AI will be able to keep up with all of that, where you don't have to go ahead and dump, again, $50,000 into a campaign as a test. You can dump $500 into an ad campaign, even less. Dump in $500 total across 4 different campaigns, and then go all in on the one that did the best. You can create multivariable tests by testing out messaging, offers, channels, and personas that aren't just basic A/B testing, but based on a long criteria of like changing your CTA, changing your price, changing where the button is, changing the color of the button, changing the copy. All of these things that would really rack a marketer's brain to have to keep up with manually, that now just becomes commonplace with the help of AI to manage and track. With all of this, campaigns get smarter pretty much every 15 minutes, or whatever the tick rate is on the system that you're using, not every fiscal quarter, which is good news for your management and fantastic news for your board. Here are some strategic shifts that you can make as a founder and CMO in this landscape. Importantly, you're no longer just launching campaigns, you're engineering continuous optimized systems. You're job isn't just to run marketing anymore, it's to build the infrastructure that outperforms your competitors while they sleep. We used to have to ideate, design, and execute all of these campaigns manually, and to be a great marketing manager or a great marketing CMO, you had to do something that was absolutely profound, innovative, and never before seen in the market. But nowadays, we've solved for the majority of what works in marketing. The job as a perfect enterprise-grade CMO is to build the systems that execute on our existing learnings and make sure that they run smoothly. You can innovate when you've already secured the bag. Here's a founder-level KPI shift that has helped me and my clients through this journey. So prioritize revenue velocity, your CAC playbook, and your net revenue retention as the 3 primary drivers of growth here. Set KPIs that model around lift, budget efficiency, and deal velocity per channel. And then move beyond engagement metrics. Track how your AI-assisted campaigns move pipeline and shorten sales cycles simultaneously. It is a waxing and waning a machine that is going to feed itself. As a real-world example here, one of the founders that we advised cut their CAC by 41% in just 30 days. This wasn't by running ads, but it was by using AI to auto-kill low-converting assets before they burned through another $10,000. This kind of agility doesn't come from experience alone, it comes from AI implementation. You can take a year 1 CMO and equip them with AI, knowing that these AI systems are just as smart as the smartest person in any room. So go ahead and borrow that intelligence. Your job is to optimize, scale, and be a continuous learner at this point. A key executive takeaway here, if there's anything that you do take away, is that if you're still reviewing performance monthly, then you've already left margin on the table. This is a weekly or even daily task, and AI makes it easy where it's not going to be as heavy as a lift as you typically would have had to endure a couple of years ago. Modern campaign orchestration is continuous, predictive, and brutally accountable. Everything is incredibly transparent nowadays, so you shouldn't be able to shy away from having open, transparent dashboards across your marketing team to show where you're failing and where you are succeeding and thriving. AI does not replace your lead strategist, to be clear, but it does turn their instincts into math. And in SaaS, math wins. Chapter 4 is all about scaling your team without actually hiring and adding headcount. This is all around AI augmented ops and strategic infrastructure. It is about scaling the talent that you already do have without bogging your organization down with excessive salaries, 401k matches, HR compliance, sick time, and everything else that comes with actually having in-house employees. You do not need that level of operational complexity at this stage. The primary point here is that you do not have a scaling problem. You have a scalability problem. And you need to fix that first before you can even imagine increasing your headcount by 20 or 30 people after a recent funding round. You're only opening up those new employees to the liability of you not having taken the time to scale properly. So as much as this could come off as me saying, hey, use AI to avoid opening up new jobs, what I'm actually telling you is that use AI to be responsible and don't promise real humans, real jobs that you're just going to rug pull when you realize that you should have taken more time operating and optimizing your systems before you could actually afford the human capital aspect of that. Become an enterprise first, then hire to oblivion if you want to. But when you're a scrappy bootstrap startup, it's going to be a lot safer for the people that are actually on your team to sign on to that new $100 a month CRM than it is for you to go ahead and hire another sales rep for $120,000 a year, just expecting to cut them off when the market turns. It's not fair to them, it's not fair to your investors, and it's just not a good look for your company. AI doesn't just solve your problems with more hands or no hands. It solves it with better infrastructure. The problem here is that most marketers are expensive. Training takes quarters for somebody to fully ramp up to understand your products in and outs and be able to articulate that to their internal stakeholders and their market. Burnout is real, especially in a fast-paced environment that literally not everybody is built for. I've seen enterprise CMOs come into a startup and be gone 3 months later because they just could not deal with the pace. Meanwhile, your ARR targets are going through the roof and your headcount isn't really keeping pace. What AI actually does deliver here isn't the ability to replace new people, it is the ability to replace tasks and help the people that you do have do more by outsourcing a lot of that mundane, nitpicky, time wasters that are 15 minutes here, half an hour here because there was a little bit of a snafu with the product or a little bit of a learning curve, 10 minutes here, another 5 minutes there. All of a sudden, 3 to 4 hours of every single day are evaporated due to tasks that could have just been a snap of the finger or a toggle of a, hey, run operation type button. Again, figuratively. It effectively creates a marketing system that excludes all of the traditional bottlenecks of your company. So personal fatigue, ego, for one, or PTO. There are these innately human elements that drag your company down for the sake of, oh, well, we're trying to be a family, which, get that out of your brain. Most companies in SaaS world will say, hey, we're just a family. This is, a big, good culture. This is one of the reasons why you want to come here. And then when there is any amount of market shift, there goes 30% of their workforce. If it was really a family that you were building, you as a CEO would eat that and take a loss on your sheet to make sure that your people can actually eat. If you're willing as a CEO to just go ahead and lay off 20% of your employees, which I understand is the correct business move, but don't put in your company mission or your company culture or your company pillars that you're building a family and it's all about the culture. You're building a business. So get that out of the way first. Swallow that. It is not a big kumbaya group that you're building. You're building a company that needs to be ruthlessly efficient. Do that. And this is coming from a freaking hippy dippy dude that would love to go into an old school organization where it actually mattered to be a part of a company. But in today's market, that doesn't really exist anymore. All of this will help you do things like automate repeatable workflows. So your content assembly, your ABM sequences, your audience segmentation, and absolutely your reporting. You don't really need multiple in-house data scientists anymore. You can have one person that's going to be overlooking what's getting put out, make sure that it's fact-checked and clean data, and then they can go ahead and disperse that. Again, it's rewarding one expert that can grow into an executive level talent within your organization rather than having to have multiple duplicative roles within one small company, which is just redundant and a waste of money. It transforms junior staff into decision makers. AI handles the grunt work so they can focus on the high level strategy that's actually going to move the needle. Again, it's about up-leveling your normal employees and turning them all into executives or senior grade talent. It also helps build out always-on systems because, face it, us as humans, we're only working 8 hours a day, or if you're really gung-ho, founder level, you'll be pulling, 14, 15-hour days, barely ever sleeping, maybe going to the gym, but you can't be on 24/7, whereas AI can. So this will help you with things like campaign customization, proposal generation, lead enrichment, and follow-ups, again, all 24/7. So you can actually take a break and go to some dinner with some friends maybe once a week. These are some new roles that you should be hiring for in this new environment. So for one, prompt engineers. Now, anybody can be a prompt engineer if they take just enough time, but having somebody on staff that's their job to figure out the best prompts for any given AI system is going to save you loads of time in experimentation. They are system tinkerers who know exactly what outcomes and what language to use for any given model across ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity. They will be able to help your content writers or your developers. They'll be able to help with strategy. They'll be able to help get better images out of something like Midjourney. It's just going to help streamline the whole process for you. And they can be sort of multilingual across all of these departments. I would recommend that this be a cross-functional sort of position. They are the support for your team who is using AI. Another one would be AI QA editors, so making sure that they are your sort of brand guardians. Any output that is coming out of a language model or coming out of an image generator, making sure that it's matching your company colors, your company tonality, making sure that it has the correct logo on there, since especially like Google Image Effects and Midjourney tend to hallucinate whatever logo they feel like putting on in that generation. So making sure that these types of things are consistent across every generation is pivotal. Having somebody that is going to orchestrate your leads for you, so somebody that's going to manage how the data flows through all of your different systems, and then adapt how the models are going to react with that, and then what campaign triggers are going to react. So again, if there is a churn risk, or if there is somebody that has come onto your page 3 times over the last week, and they just keep going to pricing every time they spent, the first session, they spent 2.5 minutes on the pricing page, second session, it's been around 60 seconds, and then, the third session, it's like, okay, 1.5 minutes. That should trigger immediately, like, hey, this is somebody that we need to get their email, we need to go ahead and shoot them a shot, we need to get a sales rep to go ahead and, contact them, and, get on that immediately, because it is showing buyer intent. So having somebody that can orchestrate this lead nurturing is incredibly important as well. And then last would be the content system architects. So anybody that can turn your thought leadership content into an infinite adaptive asset system. So again, what we were talking about before, where I publish one blog every single weekday. If you haven't checked out dippity.digital's blog, so dippity.digital/blog, there are hundreds of free resources on that page that walk through at an executive level step-by-step guides of everything from pricing and packaging to global expansion to how to set up AI chatbots to traditional email versus AI email integration. Pretty much everything that you need as a founder just to use it as your primary source of truth. Go check that out. But this is what a content system architect would be doing, where they're making one piece of content spread out across multiple different platforms. As an org, you want to shift into this new mentality. So the modern CMO isn't really a content calendar manager. What they need to be doing is being a systems operator. The new go-to-market team is no longer a bullpen, it is a lab. You guys are researchers. Some tactical wins that you can deploy here are mapping the entire buyer committees using real-time signal data. So you can go after all of the actual decision makers who are going to need to give their final sign-on before they actually incorporate or integrate your product into their tech stack. You can auto-generate industry-specific pitch decks in seconds without having to bog your product marketing manager or your content designer with a week-long project every other week of, hey, we want to go into healthcare, hey, we want to go into automotive, hey, we want to go into supply chain. It can take the same core concept or same core primary pitch deck that you have, your master deck, and then reskin that and rephrase it depending on which vertical you want to be entering, all through AI. You can also trigger post-demo nurtures based on meeting transcripts and buyer objections. So in real time, you can use something like Gong that will go ahead and transcript your entire call, and then as soon as you're off, it already has bullet points of to-do lists, what you should be building, and how you can best follow up with them. So a really good example of this is you can get off of a demo call that takes maybe 45 minutes, and then as soon as you get off, within the next 15 minutes, that person that you met with is already getting a personalized email of, hey, insert name, this is what we want to go, this is what we just spoke about, it was great meeting you, here are our primary takeaways, this is what you were looking for in a product, and here are some pieces of content that will, in our knowledge base, that will actually educate you on the pain points that you demonstrated, which again will build buyer trust and let them know, like, hey, they actually listened and there was a quickness in their response. Last would be you can repurpose founder interviews into full funnel campaigns automatically, again, taking a founder interview and then turning that into a blog and then turning that into 3 pieces of LinkedIn content and then turning that into 10 tweets and then blasting that all out every single day. Now all of a sudden you have 25 pieces of content coming out every day from your house, and it's impossible to be missed at that point. A good executive takeaway from all of this is that you're not going to scale by hiring, you're just going to be adding unnecessary complexity. You scale by increasing the output per operator across your entire go-to-market stack. I'm gonna say that again. You scale by increasing your output per operator across your go-to-market stack, across the team that you already have. You scale by upgrading your existing team members. Even if you only have a mid-level manager, even if you only have an entry-level manager, with AI, you can upskill them 2 or 3 tiers above where they would be on a company org chart just by utilizing AI and giving them the time to develop and grow accordingly. You don't need to hire 10 new marketing managers to run a full stack marketing team. I run a full stack marketing agency as a person of one, and I have clients that take up an extra 20 to 30 hours out of my week. But I still run it perfectly fine, and nobody would be any the wiser unless I actually told them, which I'm always very transparent about. If anything, that just goes to show exactly the power of AI in today's market. I'm a team of one, and I run my company like an enterprise organization, and that simplifies the hell out of my life. The orgs that win in this new startup market aren't necessarily bigger, they are leaner and they are more efficient. They are smarter per head. The gap between an AI native marketing team and everyone else is that everybody else with every single hire is shrinking their revenue per head, whereas the AI native team is compounding with every new iteration to their tech stack. So for founders, I hope you realize that AI isn't just a growth hack or a buzzword, it is the new infrastructure for your business. It is the baseline of what modern B2B marketing needs to perform efficiently, consistently, and at scale. You don't need 10 marketers, you need one operator with the right AI systems in place. If you need help building that system, then Dippity does this every day, so go ahead and drop us a DM, find me on LinkedIn, Morgan Von Druitt. Very easy to find, or find me on Twitter at the same handle. And if you got any bits of information that you'll be able to take to your co-founder, your CMO, and run with, please, again, do me a huge favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Send this to one of your colleagues, and if you're up for it, book a strategy call. I'm always up to talk, or leave a comment in the description below, and I am more than happy to go ahead and try and answer your questions in the comments. As always, there is a corresponding blog on my website that breaks down all of this in even more detail, so go ahead and give that a read as well. Also, there is going to be a couple of videos here. I have enough now to go ahead and put a video on each side of my head, so go ahead and explore those. I hope that this has all been helpful for you thus far, and I will see you in the next one.